New Year's Day 2003, and it's a beautiful morning, and we are here with the distinguished retired general internist. Alright, so tell me, just chronologically, tell me about your earliest childhood recollections.
Well, my mother delivered me through the C-section.
She did?
Which is true, yeah.
She did?
And subsequently had 2 children.
So let's see, we're...
normal birth canal and no problems.
Huh. And you were born...
Oh, no.
August 31st.
That's not true. Actually, I was a version and extraction child.
Oh, really?
Yes. And actually, they pulled me out feet first.
Really?
And there was very little, you know, my head, when you do that, there's very little molding in the head. So I was a very, you know, I didn't look like something the garbage man left.
So you were born August 31st,
1922.
1922. In
Fillmore Hospital in Buffalo, New York.
What was your first recollection of your father? Do you remember? Or when you think of your dad, what do you think of?
Well, I think mainly of the qualities that he represented. He was a wonderful father and was always there for us and supportive for us, but of course the problem was that he was a businessman, and he actually for 6 days of the week was very much engaged in his business, and of course Sunday would be devoted to us early in the game when we weren't involved with our temple and Sunday school and this kind of activity. But he and my mother had a love affair. Always. I've never heard him say a harsh word to her, and they were totally enamored with one another, and it was really a delight to see.
Where did they meet? What was the story of their meeting?
They met through...
In Halifax, right?
They met in well, no, it wasn't really there. It didn't happen that way. My father had a sister, Gertie Perlman, who actually, as it turned out, his husband ran a Jewish old clothes co. in Buffalo, New York. And she was the one, and I don't really know all the antagonists, who was responsible for introducing them.
Was Grandma Sophie in Buffalo at the time?
Buffalo at the time, yeah. I don't really know the dynamics.
And
I don't recall what happened.
Yeah, and her family had settled in Halifax, Nova Scotia originally.
They settled in Glace Bay, Nova Scotia.
Or Glace Bay.
Yeah, because when they went through Staten Island, of course, they went north to Canada. And they settled in Glace Bay, Nova Scotia.
And then, did your father always settle in Buffalo?
My father was born in Russia, as you know, in Belarus.
Yeah. Vyashenkovichi.
Vyashenkovichi, very good. And I think he must have come over to the States, like so many of the immigrants did from Europe, when he was maybe 15 or 16 years old. It was a very arduous trip. He had about 3 formal years of schooling, but it wasn't reflected in his speech or vocabulary or anything.
He was a self-made person.
And he really had no particular accent as such that I can recall, really, because he came very early here, and you know, his formative speaking years were in this country, in America.
His father's name? Don't know.
Well, as I said, the problem there was his father was a rabbi.
An Orthodox rabbi?
Orthodox rabbi. I don't think he was formally ordained. I have no idea of what qualifications, had him assume that role. He had a little show in Buffalo that my father took care of the economics. He paid my grandparents' living, he bought a home for them, paid all their living expenses. Every Sunday, the three boys would go over there and not look forward to it because we were totally ignored by my grandparents, totally ignored. There was never hello, there was nothing. At the end of the day, and he and my father would talk. And
they spoke
a lot
in Yiddish?
of Yiddish and English. And it was exclusionary.
Huh.
We were not part of the puck, and we just had to sit there like bumps on a log, and we just hated going there.
And you literally sat there every
Just sat
Sunday
there.
for the whole day?
No, it was a morning for them.
For the morning.
Yeah.
You dressed up?
Oh yeah, we were dressed, very neatly. We had a tie, and little kids dressed in those days.
Did Sophie come too?
No. My mother actually was extremely. You want me to get into my mother a little bit? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
The whole family, there were, I don't know how many sisters, there may have been about 5 or 6. And they were, and their mother died when she was a very young age. When my mother was 8 years old, she had to basically assume the responsibility of her sisters.
She was the oldest
There were
one?
sisters and a brother.
She was the oldest?
She was the oldest, yes. And she had to assume all the household responsibilities.
So the mother died young.
Yeah, the mother died very young. And he remarried about a woman who had no involvement with the kids, just totally ignored them. They all resented her. And that's why my mother inherited all the responsibility.
Wow.
And
She was born in Glace Bay, right?
She was born in.
She was born after they moved?
She was born in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
No. Oh no, she wasn't born in Buffalo. She was born in Canada.
Yeah, but she was born after they came over.
Oh yeah.
That was the Ein family.
That was the Ein family.
Yeah.
And the men were very entrepreneurial, and they purchased real estate. It was a sort of unusual family. Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe, I remember Uncle Joe.
Yes.
Because we had the kasha.
That's right. That was an interesting scenario. You want to recall it? Can you bring it up?
Well, I just remember having kasha, whatever that cereal stuff is, over at the Furman's house.
Yes, that's true.
That's where I remember it.
Breakfast.
Yeah.
And the kasha emitted. He had a teaspoon that he was putting it in his mouth, and he was eating it.
Oy.
And he also had a hypersalivation in the corners. And he takes his teaspoon out of his mouth, and he hands it. He says, "Mark, come over here. Open your mouth." And he shoves it in Mark's mouth. And Mark had watched him eat, and it was sort of a very discouraging. It wasn't conducive to enjoyment of breakfast cereal. And Mark ran into the bathroom and spit it all out in the toilet.
I did?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, you were so sick, you were gagging, and he thought he was being friendly. And he was a very friendly guy.
That's
But
funny.
he just had no idea how to handle children or anything. Because in those days, the mothers all assumed all the household, all the responsibilities.
So that's what you did. So you remember Morris's father.